Today, a disease ravages the American public. This disease shows no prejudice. It doesn't care about the color of your skin, your heritage, your gender, nor your age. It doesn't care about the amount of money you have sitting in your bank account. To accentuate the issue, a stigma exists in that if you have the disease, you are ridiculed, shamed, and systemically at a disadvantage. This creates environments that encourage the expanse and acceleration of the disease. For those who are affected by this disease, you are left living the rest of your life with three options. The first option is treatment. You'll never be cured. You'll be fighting it for the rest of your life. The fight may become easier as time elapses, but you'll never be out of the woods. The second option and the third option are in conjunction with each other. Option number two. Option number two is decay. If you choose not to seek treatment or not participate in treatment practices, your life, your relationships, and all of your achievements and accomplishments will decay. If you go on long enough, you'll end up at option number three. Option number three is death. This disease is going to kill you. To date, this affliction has caused 841,000 deaths in the United States since 1999. That statistic was pulled from the CDC website. This is a problem of immense proportion. It has gained national attention. We have numerous government agencies designed to deter it. And I can guarantee you that every single person that is watching this presentation has had this disease affect their life in one form or another. And we are not the only ones. The entire world is at risk of getting sick with it. And yet, there isn't anywhere in the world who is as sick as we are here at home. For those of you that are unaware, inattentive, or just simply in denial, I have a newsflash for you. America has a drug problem. To solve a problem, you have to break it up into different components and look to inform yourself on the different parts that make up the issue. You have to ask yourself, what is the problem?
Well, for the purposes of this presentation, the problem is that large numbers of the American population suffer from substance abuse disorders. Specifically, we're going to focus on the opioid epidemic in America, as opioids and opiates are the most dangerous and lethal substances regarding drug-related deaths.
In 1999, the disease killed approximately 18,000 people. In 2020, it killed 92,000. That is a 511% increase in lethality since the nation started keeping record. Another expression of this statistic is that every year the disease kills 25% more people than it did the year prior. There is no doubt there is a killer amongst us. Another question we must ask ourselves to understand the issue is, what is causing this issue? This is a more difficult question to answer. Mankind has experimented with psychotropic substances for millennia. To complicate things, a stigma exists in that if you have the disease, you are scorned, humiliated, and inherently at a disadvantage. This creates conditions that enable the expanse and acceleration of the disease rather than encouraging populations suffering from the disorder to seek rehabilitation or treatment. In fact, estimates gathered from the National Drug Rehabilitation Centers for America states that 9 out of 10 people whom suffer from substance abuse disorders did not seek treatment last year. The use of these drugs is not always a problem. In fact, many of them used medicinally can save someone's life rather than ruining it or ending it. But in short, psychoactive substances are the main culprit causing the drug problem in America. If we are consistent in our theme of the American opioid epidemic, then opiates are the main reason that substance abuse disorders exist among the American population. To expand and dig deeper into the root of the issue, we should examine what opioids are and why they contribute to substance abuse disorders in America. Opioids are semi-synthetic drugs derived from the naturally occurring psychotropic chemicals found in the opium poppy plant, Papyrus somniferaum. These extracted compounds are morphine, codeine, thebaine, and oripavine. These opium extracts are then used as precursor chemicals to synthesize compounds that are much more receptive to the neurotransmitter receptors in our brains. These receptors are responsible for the way we feel and respond to our environment. The chemical composition and constitution of the various opioid substances mock the structure and physiological function of the endorphin neurotransmitter in our body. Endorphins are known as our body's natural painkiller and are capable of attaching to receptors in our brain which inhibit the pain stimulus. Endorphins also function to release the neurotransmitter dopamine, which creates feelings of reward and euphoria. All opioids target the mu-opioid receptor. Since inhibitory deactivation of the mu-opioid receptor creates intense feelings of euphoria and inhibits feelings of pain or distress, the recreational use of these drugs has become a driving force for substance abuse disorders. The opioids that are abused the most are chemical variations of oxycodone, hydrocodone, hydromorphone, and fentanyl. They are more commonly known by their trade or brand names as Oxycontin or Percocet, Vicodin, Dilaudid, and Fentora. Now that we understand the main causes of the issue and that the problem is very quickly becoming more significant, we can venture further and ask ourselves, what is catalyzing and magnifying these causes? The problem of substance abuse disorders has been escalated and accelerated in the past 20 years due to various pharmaceutical companies' negligence regarding the sale of these narcotics, the falsification of research and medicinal data, and the malpractice associated with their pharmaceutical operations. A notorious case in the matter is Purdue Pharma's contribution to the opioid epidemic with the advent of OxyContin. While useful as a pain analgesic, the company's negligence in the pharmaceutical operations that followed the drug's release to the market was criminal. The criminal negligence of Purdue Pharma led to a significant increase in American citizens that suffered from substance abuse disorders after using the medication. One of the main reasons the drug had such a significant contribution to the opioid epidemic was that Purdue Pharma knowingly showcased the drug's controlled release characteristics inaccurately. The company claimed that the drug's pharmacokinetics, or speed of release, was hindered by a controlled release mechanism, thereby making the drug significantly less likely to be abused. The negligence even extended as far as to alter scientific data collected during the trials so that the data supported these conclusions. In truth, the drug's abuse deterrent mechanisms were insignificant, and the drug exhibited the same potential for abuse as all other opioids. The altered data was used as a keystone piece during presentations to medical assemblies and exhibitions, causing many physicians to prescribe the medication for inappropriate applications as they were led to believe the drug's abuse was unlikely. In addition to falsifying reports, Purdue Pharma engaged in illegal incentives to physicians for writing prescriptions for the medication cited by the Department of Justice as kickbacks. Here is a public service announcement detailing the criminal actions by Purdue Pharma, released by the Department of Justice and publicly displayed on the agency's website. Essentially, the company would give physicians money or fiscal favors in return for each prescription written for the drug. The company is also accused of bribing politicians and drug regulatory officials to keep the public image of the company and OxyContin upstanding. Another instance of malpractice concerning the operations of the pharmaceutical company was the public defamation of those who had used the drug and developed a dependence to it. They publicly asserted the drug was non-addictive, and the individuals that had developed substance abuse disorders had not been taking the drug as directed or using it illicitly. They even went as far as to sue and threaten figures of opposition that publicly shared their experiences with the drug. Currently, the company faces a massive indictment brought about by the Department of Justice, which is detailed in the previously shown public service announcement. Some of the indictments have since been resolved, such as 3 felony counts, including 1 count of dual object conspiracy to defraud the FDA and 2 counts of conspiracy to violate the federal anti-kickback statute. Other indictments and litigation continue for the company, although formal statements from Purdue Pharma have now indicated the acknowledgement that the company contributed to the opioid epidemic in America. The last question we must ask ourselves about the substance abuse problem we face in America is, where do we go from here? What can we do to correct the issue? The answer is to take responsibility and to hold each other accountable while doing what we can to improve the situation. By doing this, we can mitigate the disease and slow the rate of lives lost, but ultimately, changes must be made on the micro, meso, and macro socioeconomic scale. Individually, we can stop shaming the afflicted. Acknowledge Acknowledge that populations that suffer from substance abuse disorders are dealing with a real physiological ailment. Reach out to them, support them, and encourage them on their path to recovery. Doctors and practitioners should show a greater understanding of the issue and their patients and begin to work diligently on novel treatments that will advance the rehabilitation process. By performing these practices and exerting our efforts into these changes, we will contribute to the amelioration of the human condition, and perhaps by doing so, ensure that the next case study photographs within a presentation about substance abuse disorders doesn't feature a best friend, a family member, or even ourselves.
I would like to take this time to give some special acknowledgments and present my citation for the presentation. Specifically, I would like to thank the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for retrieving statistics concerning overdose death rates and monitoring an active situation. I would also like to give special acknowledgments to PubMed, which is a great source for any chemistry or research studies. Also, I would like to thank the Department of Justice for bringing Purdue Pharma to some form of accountability. And lastly, I would like to thank the Judge for Yourself info site, where I was able to connect the dots on the information tied from the release of OxyContin to an increase in overdose deaths. Thank you.